Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolute highest stakes decision that developers and business leaders are facing in 2026, ChatGPT versus Claude. Look, the tech giants have poured literal billions into these models, but the real question is, where should you actually be placing your bets this year?
Okay, let's dive right into this, because we are looking at the ultimate tech budget dilemma of the year. Whether you're an individual creator just managing a $20 monthly subscription or an enterprise architect staring down the barrel of thousands of dollars in daily API costs, you've got to choose carefully. And the choice isn't just about who's quote-unquote smarter anymore. It's really about the economics, the specific capabilities, and exactly how these models fit into your actual day-to-day workflow.
To really understand the battlefield, we have to look at the new lineups. In one corner, we've got OpenAI's brand new GPT 5.6 family. That's Sol, Terra, and Luna. Facing off against them is Anthropic's formidable Claude 5 lineup, featuring Fable, Opus, and Sonnet. We aren't just comparing abstract models here. We're looking at the core engines powering the applications you and I use every single day.
Let's transition directly into the money. We need to talk about the financial reality of 2026 API costs because, let's be honest, you simply cannot scale a global application if your intelligence layer is going to bankrupt you in the process.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive pricing war going on right now. ChatGPT is playing an incredibly aggressive game here. GPT 5.6 Sol comes in at just $5 for input and $30 for output per million tokens. Compare that to Claude Fable 5, which is sitting at $10 for input and $50 for output. OpenAI is effectively undercutting Anthropic's premium tier by nearly half. If you're running massive, continuous enterprise workloads, that price gap translates to huge savings very, very quickly.
But for pure high-volume value, 20 cents. Literally 20 cents. That is all it costs for 1 million input tokens on OpenAI's GPT 5.6 Luna. To put that into perspective, you could parse through thousands of dense log files for less than the cost of a stick of gum. There is simply no Claude equivalent at this price point right now. Luna's unbelievably low cost is making entirely new classes of applications economically possible.
All right, but cost is really only half the equation. What capability and value are you actually getting for that money? A cheap model that hallucinates your core business logic is totally useless. So let's look at the hard performance data to see what your money actually buys.
When we check the standard bench LM scores, Claude Fable 5 takes a slight lead over GPT 5.6 Sol. But where it gets really interesting is human preference. Claude boasts a massive 1508 Arena ELO score for conversational quality. For pure reasoning and beautiful, human-like prose, Claude is basically the absolute ceiling right now.
Let's break down where each model fundamentally dominates. Claude is the undisputed king of coding and writing, pulling an incredible 95 on SW Bench verified. Its tone calibration for long-form documents is just unmatched. On the flip side, ChatGPT counters hard with agentic terminal work, scoring 91.9 on Terminal Bench. Plus, ChatGPT holds a massive edge with its native image generation and its incredibly low-latency advanced voice mode, which Claude just cannot match at the moment.
Now we have to talk about memory, because context windows have historically been Claude's domain. Well, not anymore. OpenAI just blew the doors off the context window, giving GPT 5.6 a massive 1.05 million token window. That's literally like uploading the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy multiple times in a single prompt. While Claude still offers incredible recall, ChatGPT has effectively neutralized Claude's historic advantage in handling massive document uploads.
But raw specs don't mean much if the user experience is clunky. Let's look at workflows and UI, specifically artifacts versus Canvas. Both platforms have built these dedicated side panel workspaces to help you iterate on complex ideas without losing your train of thought.
This brings us to a fantastic UI showdown. Claude Artifacts is an absolute builder's dream. Ask for a React component or an SVG graphic, and it renders instantly right in the side panel. You see the visual output live. Conversely, ChatGPT Canvas treats code more like a living document that you're constantly refining. Artifacts is for visualizing, Canvas is for targeted editing.
Let's zoom in on why Canvas is so powerful for writers and developers modifying existing work. Instead of regenerating a massive 1,500-word draft just to change one single paragraph, you just highlight the text and ask for specific edits. You can instantly adjust the reading level, ask for in-place bug fixes on a highlighted block of code, and use fast shortcuts to port code to different languages. It's an incredibly frictionless, high-speed editing experience.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Anthropic is rethinking AI agents altogether with something called progressive disclosure. Instead of cramming all your instructions into one massive prompt, Claude basically operates as one general agent that only reads the specific handbook for a skill when the task actually calls for it. This prevents cognitive overload and lets Claude seamlessly juggle hundreds of complex tasks like video clipping or running a calendar without breaking a sweat.
Next up, we have to talk about the hidden cost: privacy and confidentiality. For organizations dealing with regulated data, attorney-client privilege, or proprietary code, data security isn't just a feature, it's a massive risk and an absolutely critical deciding factor.
The difference actually starts right at the consumer tier. If you or your employees are just logging into the standard web interfaces, Claude has a distinct immediate privacy advantage. They do not train on your data by default. With ChatGPT, Free and Plus, your data might be used for model training unless you proactively go into your settings and toggle the opt-out switch. It's a subtle difference, but for consumer tier users, Claude is inherently more private right out of the box. Anthropic also uses this concept called constitutional AI. They train their models using a literal written constitution to ensure harmlessness instead of just relying on human feedback. So why does this matter to you? Well, if you're in highly regulated industries like healthcare or government, this structural commitment to safe, non-toxic outputs gives Claude a very unique edge.
Let's move to the enterprise level and see how this builds. When you get to true enterprise deployments, the privacy battle effectively ties. Both platforms offer business associate agreements for HIPAA, data processing agreements, and zero data retention configurations. But the really smart companies are going a step further. They're deploying local redaction tools like Lock to mask sensitive data right in the browser before the prompt ever even leaves the device. If configured right, both platforms are highly secure.
So, if Claude is better for writing and secure reasoning, and ChatGPT is faster, cheaper, and does images and voice, which one do you actually choose? Well, platforms like Mind Studio are allowing businesses to stop choosing altogether. They aggregate these models so you can route tasks automatically. Your workflow could use Claude to analyze a massive document, and then seamlessly switch to GPT 5.6 when it needs to generate a chart, all under one single billing relationship. Problem solved, right?
So, the crucial point is this. The era of debating which model is definitively smarter is totally over. They're both exceptionally capable. The real battle in 2026 isn't a general IQ test. It's about matching the exact AI to your specific task, your workflow, and your exact budget constraints. It's all about architectural strategy now, not blind brand loyalty.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with something to chew on. We've seen the price structures, the distinct UI strengths of artifacts and Canvas, and the very real privacy implications. These tools are more powerful and specialized than ever before. So, knowing what you know now, how do you plan to architect your tech stack strategy this year? Are you going to pick a side, or will you find a clever way to make them work together?